The modern phone is arguably one of humanity's most impressive inventions. I mean, for just a small monthly fee, you can talk to anybody, anywhere in the world, instantly. But they also kinda suck. See, the problem with cell phones is that they require cell service. For phones to work, they have to be connected to the grid. And guess what doesn't work when there's an emergency? The grid. But what if there was a system that didn't require any fancy infrastructure? No cell towers, no SIM cards, and no monthly fees. This is Meshtastic. Now, Meshtastic is a text messaging software designed to work on these cheap little LoRa radios. It's basically like a walkie-talkie, but for texting. Now, the really cool thing about Meshtastic is that unlike a walkie-talkie, it doesn't rely on the range of each individual LoRa radio. Instead, it creates a network of radios, allowing your message to go farther. How? Well, it's all thanks to the magic of mesh networking. Okay, imagine this. You and your friend live a couple miles apart and you want some way to talk to each other that works no matter what. Now, you've tried regular old walkie-talkies, but you're just simply too far apart. Even the best of walkie-talkies can only go 15 or 20 miles on a good day. Now, phones solve this problem using cell towers. Instead of your phone trying to contact your friend directly, it goes through the nearest cell tower through miles and miles of fiber optic cables to switching center before going all the way back through those fiber optic cables to the cell tower closest to your friend and finally to your friend's phone. Now, this system works great. For just a small monthly fee, you can contact anybody anywhere in the world instantly. But you and your friend are just a couple miles apart. Is all this high-tech, easily breakable stuff really necessary? Well, no. That's where Meshtastic comes in. See, Meshtastic, rather than relying on the range of each individual node, uses other nodes to help bridge the gap. For example, let's say you and your friend are both within range of another Meshtastic user. Now, each of you can easily talk to this node with no problems, but when you try to talk to each other, your radios just can't make it. But what if this radio took your message and repeated it? Now, as long as this node is there to repeat your message, you guys can talk with no problem. And this system can be scaled up to hundreds of times the size, allowing you to talk with near infinite range, with a radio that by itself can barely go a mile. This system may not have the bandwidth to replace the internet entirely, but it makes a great backup system in an emergency when everything goes down, because this requires no fancy infrastructure and just works. Or at least that's what everybody says about Meshtastic. But is it true? Well, I wanted to find out. So I set out to make my very own Meshtastic node and test if you really can text people without any internet. Now, as any normal person would, the first thing I did when starting this project was go to YouTube, where I then watched a video on Meshtastic, saw that it was $23 a radio, and said, screw that, I'll make my own for $6 cheaper, completely from scratch. What could go wrong? Okay, so here's my plan. So basically, I'm gonna take one of these little tiny ESP32 computers. That's gonna basically be the brains. And then I'll pair it with the cheapest LoRa module I can find, and fingers crossed it'll work. And hopefully I'll have the same thing I could have bought, but for a couple dollars cheaper. Okay, so I think I got it put together right, but it's not really working. It's not really seeing any of the other nodes, and I can't really send messages, so I guess I'm just gonna keep messing with it, but at this point I've been at it a couple hours and I'm not getting anywhere, so I'm kind of worried it's not going to work, which would suck because I spent like $30 on these parts. Now, all in all, I probably spent an afternoon or two building and troubleshooting my node before I realized that I'd literally gotten the wrong part. See, I needed the 915 megahertz American LoRa modules, but I accidentally bought the 433 megahertz Chinese modules, which operate in the 70 centimeter band and are illegal in the US unless you have a ham license, which at the time I did not. Now, most people, after spending almost $30 on parts that they didn't need, probably would have quit. But I'm not most people. See, I am no quitter. So being the super genius I am, I immediately hopped back on my computer and impulse bought another set of modules. Now these were the right frequency, but I found out the hard way that the way they interfaced with the computer lacked the low-level control required for something as advanced as Meshtastic. So much for saving money. See, the thing about building your own Meshtastic node is it's really not that hard, but the thing is, me being me, I wasn't going to do it the normal way and follow all the many tutorials online. I was going to try to do it my own way, centered around using the cheapest possible LoRa modules. And it turns out when something's way cheaper than everything else, there's typically a reason for it. Yeah, so guys, I had a little oopsie. Actually, I had two of them. I may have screwed it up twice in a row. But you know what? Third time's the charm. We're gonna give it one more shot. I'm really going to make sure that I research everything. I do everything right this time. And you know, we'll see what happens. This time, I was locked in. I spent hours researching. I read every Reddit post. I was more locked in than a lock locked in a safe. Okay. This time, I ordered the parts, confident that I had finally done it. The parts came, and I went to work. I was gonna show them, man. $23 is a ripoff. I could make this in a cave with a box of scraps. After hours of soldering, wiring, and making more Google searches than most people make in a lifetime, I had finally done it. I'd made another one that didn't work. When all hope seemed lost, I remembered today's sponsored PCBWay. No, actually. So about a year or two ago, when my channel was just getting started, a company called PCBWay contacted me completely out of the blue and asked if I would be interested in doing a partnership. Now, PCBWay is a company that specializes in manufacturing custom printed circuit boards. They also do laser cutting, CNC machining, 3D printing, you name it, they probably do it. Thanks to PCBWay, you don't need fancy equipment to make cool things, like this 3D printed case, for example. Just pick from one of their many services, upload your design, and you'll have high quality parts shipped to your door in a matter of days. PCBWay makes the process of creating cool things like I do super quick and easy. So use my link in the description to get $5 off of your first purchase, and every time somebody uses the link, I make money. So you'll be supporting me too. Now, at the time PCBWay initially reached out to me, I had like 200 subscribers, and obviously I was stoked. But for whatever reason, I never ended up taking them up on that offer until now. See, in addition to laser cutting, CNCing, PCB manufacturing, 3D printing, etc., they also have a parts store for all your random projects. And in that parts store, they have LoRa devices, pre-built Meshtastic boards, just like the one I didn't want to spend $23 on. So I contacted them and asked them if they'd be interested in sponsoring this video. And sure enough, they said yes. And I was able to get a couple $100 of pre-built LoRa radios for free. So shout out to PCBWay, my first ever sponsor. Now I'd like to tell you I waited patiently for those parts to come, but that would be a lie. After about 4 days of obsessively restarting the FedEx tracking page, my parts finally came, and it was time to flash the Meshtastic firmware to them. Alright, I got two nodes set up here. As you can see, they're both showing up. Let's see if I can send a message. Boom, it works. Guys, I did it. After months and months and months of trial and error, I finally figured it out. I sent a text message without the internet. Crazy, right? Alright, so I'm in my car here. I have this node, and my brother has another node at the house. I'm gonna see how far we can drive away and still be able to send messages back and forth. And I'm gonna try to test the range of each individual node to see how far you can go with 0 hops. Alright, so I'm probably about a half a mile to a mile away, but I'm gonna try to send my brother a message and see if he receives it. Let's see. Come on. Oh, it acknowledged. It made it there. Alright, we're at the next location, 1.6 miles away. Let's test again. See if it acknowledges. Come on. Last heard 23 seconds ago. Last heard 13 seconds ago, so we're still updating it. Alright, so we got about a half a mile to a mile, the way it's set up right now, which isn't great, but it's not really very high up, and we're kind of in a bit of a valley right here. Not really, but like, we don't have great elevation here. But it doesn't really matter the range of each individual node as long as you can make it to the mesh. So I was able to get a little bit under a mile of range from a single node. And keep in mind, that's without doing any upgrades to the antenna or placing the nodes particularly high. And if there's anything I've learned as an amateur radio operator, it's that the right antenna and enough height can be the difference between a mile and 100 miles. Of course, in this case, I'm just trying to test how it'll behave in less than optimal conditions, because not everybody is going to be standing on top of a mountain when they use this. So a little under a mile for a single node isn't too bad. Now the software works as intended, but the thing about mesh networks is it only works if there's other people around to help build the mesh. Otherwise, it's just an over-engineered walkie-talkie. And unfortunately, where I live, nobody else really uses this. If I lived in a bigger city, it would be a different story. But in my tiny town of 10,000 people, there's really nobody within a mile or two of me. But remember earlier when I said antenna and antenna height can drastically increase your range? Well, what if I made my own antenna? What if I made the most efficient antenna possible, and then I strapped it to a drone? I mean, people frequently take their Meshtastic nodes on planes and get hundreds of miles of range. What if I did something similar? Well, you might want to subscribe. Dude, it's working. There's other nodes. There's actually other people on here. Hello. Is anybody there?